for me. If you would prefer, you can also chat your questions into the chat box, and I will look at those every few minutes, okay? So I'm gonna start this off. I wanna ask the question, for those that are on the call, how many of you guys are actively using KvCore as your CRM, your working database every single day?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Who am I talking to?
Yes.
Jill?
Jill, hey, good to see you.
Hey.
Jill Clark?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Who else was that said yes?
Me, Billy.
Bill, awesome, fantastic. Anybody else actively using KvCore? I know.
I'm also using it.
Awesome. Is that Stacy?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Awesome. Okay, so both Bill, Jill, and Stacy are all clients of Senators. All right, excellent. So that kind of gives me an idea of who is actively in here and using this on a daily basis. So I'm going to start there with best daily practices. Okay, some of the things that I would recommend doing every single day to really manage what's going on in your database. We're going to talk about how you can classify your CRM to make it more effective and easier for you to sort your database out for prospecting and for client re-engagement. And then I'd like to move into a couple of lead generation topics, okay? While I'm going through some of this stuff, if you have a specific KvCore question, you're more than welcome to type it into the chat box if it doesn't pertain to what we're talking to at the moment, and I'll make sure we come back around to them, okay? Does that sound fair? All right, so let's start off with, first and foremost, the number one important thing, getting your people into KvCore. KvCore is not only a lead generation platform, which if you were involved with the old conversion platform, that's really what you know the system as, it's lead generation. KvCore is a full service CRM. It's not just about generating leads, it's about long-term client follow-up, maintenance, sphere of influence, open house business, which we'll talk about as well. It can run everything in your business if you let it. KvCore is the engine, your database is the fuel, okay? Without a database in the system, you're losing about 75% of the capabilities of this technology. So there's a couple of ways we can get people in here. Number one, easiest, is your quick actions button, adding contacts. Okay? Anybody want to give me an idea? If you just want to type this into the chat bar, what's our level of experience here? How many people have been in the, who's been in for 1 year, 2 years, whatever? If you don't mind, type in your experience level for me. I may have a couple of tips that'll be helpful for you, okay? As you're going through and you're adding people into your database, obviously we need their contact information, but quick tip, you wanna make sure that KvCore is gonna be fully functional, you need to make sure that you click those 3 icons. This is gonna tell KvCore that you have permission to call, text, and email these folks, okay? And then we've got our types. What are they doing? Are they buyers, sellers, renters? Are they a combination? Okay. Are they a vendor or an agent? So if you're doing any, if you're helping location grow, or if you are also wanting to have a database of agents that you work with that you can send new listings over to, you got agent categories here too. Okay. So we can check multiple items here. All right. We're going to talk about statuses here in just 1 second, but I do want to go and check our chats here real quick. Oops. Oh, here, let me get out of here real fast. For some reason, I lost the ability to look at your chats. There we go. Sorry, guys. 1 sec. All right, there we go. Okay, so we got a couple of years, 2+, 3 years, 1 month, 6 months, new agents. All right, Michelle, 22 years, welcome. All right, and Jessica, brand new agent, welcome to the business, awesome. All right, so as we're talking about growing our databases, for those that are a little bit newer or maybe don't have a lot of people in your database, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of quick homework that was really useful for me in my business. When I first got into this, 18 years ago, 19 years ago, the internet wasn't a big thing. Emails were just starting to become really popular for use. So a lot of direct mail was going on. I was also 22 at the time. So, my broker came up to me one day and he dropped the white pages on my desk and he basically said, you've got two choices. Either get really good at calling people or get really good at meeting people. So one of the ways that I like to use this add contact button, my broker gave me homework that every day I was supposed to go out and meet one new person and strike up a conversation. Now I know today is a little bit different with everything going on with COVID. So instead of me using what I used to call or what's been commonly called the 3-foot rule, now it's a 6-foot rule. And you got to get really good at being able to understand what people are saying through their mask. It's still a great way for us to build our databases. I'm probably out and about, if not every day, at least 3 to 4 times a week. And while I'm out, I still try to meet someone new every day. Okay? And I live in Texas. You guys are out in Florida. You're in the Sunshine State. It's got to be a friendly place. Okay. So most of us, we can strike up a conversation just with a quick nod and a smile. And you got to learn how to smile with your eyes these days. But part of my homework to build my database was to meet someone every day. Now, they used to date myself, that whenever I would get back to my office, they would go in my Rolodex, and then eventually they went into my Excel spreadsheet, but now they go into my CRM. Okay, so every day while I'm out meeting people, here I'm going to start to classify them. All right. What are they potentially? And if I don't know, because our conversation didn't go that route, I'm probably just going to mark them as a buyer, potential buyer. Okay. But let's talk about lead statuses. The status part of classifying your database is going to be one of the more important aspects of managing KvCore. If you're one of Sinister's clients, you will have already heard this, but I'm going to go through it again. New lead. This bucket is really designed for the people that you have never spoken to before. So this is usually going to be reserved for your internet-based leads, your open house leads, people that are coming to you through your website, et cetera. Okay. Then we've got prospect. A prospect, at least the way that I use this and I define this, this is someone that is interested, but you've either had very limited conversations or there's someone that is long-term. And I classify long-term as anyone that's more than 90 days out from a purchase agreement, okay? Or a listing agreement, I should say. Then we've got active leads and clients. Now, this is where things get a little bit more subjective based on your state, but if I remember correctly, out in Florida, you guys are similar to Texas in that we use exclusive agency agreements. So to me, an active lead is someone that wants to go out and buy or sell within the next 90 days, but they're not committed to working with me just yet. Okay? They haven't exclusively said, Mike, you're my realtor. Clients, conversely, are the ones that have actually signed an exclusive agency agreement with me. Contract, this particular bucket is designed for the people that have executed a purchase agreement of some sort. Closed is pretty obvious, okay? And then we've got our archived. Archived is for the people that tell you to go fly a kite, okay? Now, sphere of influence. Now, this one's a little bit more subjective. This is a little bit more personal in how you want to use your database. I'm going to tell you how I personally use sphere, but you can define this however you would like. For me, my sphere of influence, I don't like to put everyone that I know into my sphere. I've got about 5,000 Facebook friends between my pages, and I've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,500, 3,000 contacts in my phone. I don't personally want them all in my CRM. Okay. So the way that I use this bucket, because I leverage campaigns and automation to help me as much as possible with follow-up and engagement. My sphere are the people that truly know me, like me, trust me, have not done business with me, and that I actually want to talk to on a regular basis. Now, that's how I personally use Sphere. I just got off the phone with one of my coaching clients out in Arizona. He's got over 3,000 people in his Sphere. He has them classified with an additional layer called a hashtag, which we're going to talk more about here in a second. So he uses Sphere for a large number of people, and he adds in one extra layer of categorization. So there's a lot of ways that you could use this. The statuses that I just gave to you are the way that I personally use the CRM. Sphere is probably the one that's the most subjective for people. Any questions on categorization and classification? Okay, All right, so I mentioned hashtags a second ago. Let's talk about hashtagging and what it does. Okay. Hashtags is basically that third level of categorization. And I'll take you into an account here in just a second. But basically, hashtags do two things in KvCore. First and foremost, it's going to give you another layer to search your database by. And I'll give you a few examples of how I use hashtags. But also, it is a way, if you're leveraging smart campaigns or the automation, to launch particular follow-up sequences. Okay. So let's talk about what a hashtag could be and how would we use this. So for me, when I was fully active in the business, I like to classify my database based on their timeline to purchase. It would tell me when I was going to go and sit down and prospect who I should call first if I ran out of people that were active on my site. Okay. So for instance, I would classify using 0 to 90 days, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, and then 12 months plus. Those were my particular categories. That's how I like to sort my database. Other ways that I would sort my database, if I was generating leads for a particular neighborhood and they were, say, sellers in that neighborhood, I could classify, hashtag Cherry Creek, hashtag Circle C. Okay. You guys getting the concept there? Anybody have a question specific to hashtags? And guys, this is an open mastermind. So if you have questions on other topics, please do me a favor, just type them into the chat bar. If it's not specific to what we're talking about right now, I will definitely get to them before we're done, okay? All right, so again, we have all their contact information in here, and then we have our status. So wherever they're at, if this was somebody that I met at the grocery store and had a conversation, it was a limited conversation, I'd put them in as a prospect. Okay, and then I can do this here. If I leave it blank, it'll add them as a manual addition. Okay, and I'm actually going to enter myself in here. Okay, so and then lead source, it's a manual add. It'll already pop up. So I'm going to leave that blank. I'm going to set that to Jonathan being the owner of my lead. If I wanted to set myself up on a campaign right now, I could. Okay. And then I can also type in notes. Test account. Location training. And I'm going to add the contact. Okay. So now let's talk about hashtags again. If I wanted to add an additional category, this little button right here is where I can do that. I'm going to give you guys a few rules on hashtagging. So hashtags cannot start with a number. They have to be at least 4 characters long, no spaces, and no punctuation. So if you were to use this for, and you wanted to do like the hashtag categories for timelines, if I wanted to do 0 to 90 days, I would do 0 to 90. Hit enter. And I can update my tag. And there it goes. And in my database, I can sort by people that are in this category. I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Okay. Now, another couple of quick tips talking about best daily practices and how to leverage the CRM to fullest advantage. Does everybody know what a smart number is or what your smart number is? If you don't, your smart number is basically the KvCore office line that has been assigned to your location. Okay. I do have a couple of tips on how to leverage the smart number. I've had some people that have inquired about smart numbers and should I buy a vanity number or can I use the one that's defaulted to me? In 99% of the cases, if you're using the one that's defaulted to you, if somebody is already in your system, they're in your database, 99% of the times you're not going to have any issues. If somebody calls your smart number, they text it, If they're already in your system, KvCore is smart enough to see that and route that call and that text over to you, even if you're using the default number, okay? But everyone has one assigned to you. If you're in Florida, you'll have a Florida number. If you're in Colorado, you're gonna have a Colorado number, okay? The smart number, the way I leverage this with my clients is I tell them that this is my office line. So if they call me or text me here, I have it set to forward to my cell phone. So they can reach me at either location, okay? Working leads through KvCore, until I make contact with them, I'm gonna do everything through the system. If I'm using campaigns, all of my text messages that are going out through my campaigns are going out attached to my smart number. So with consumers, when they get a bunch of phone calls and texts from varying numbers, a lot of times they will unsubscribe from things a lot faster. So until you make contact with the lead, if you're gonna make phone calls to your leads, I actually recommend using this new call button right up here and clicking call. What this does is this will create a three-way bridge between your cell phone number, your KvCore office line, and the client's number, okay? When you do this, because it's gonna be going out through your smart number, it creates what's called continuity of number. It's the same number that they see that has sent them a text message before, now sending them a phone call. People are much more likely to answer when they see that same number pop up through various mediums. Does that make sense? Okay, so I would personally, with my leads, at least until I make contact with them, I would personally be using KvCore to make those calls if I'm using the text messaging system through KvCore.
Mike, I have a question.
Absolutely, go for it.
Is that also true when you're using the mobile app? If you call or text from the mobile app, isn't that, that's calling from only the smart number, or is it using your personal cell phone to do that one?
No, it is absolutely using the smart number.
Okay.
Yeah, if you are in the app, you are basically logged into KvCore. So it doesn't, even though it recognizes that you're on the app, it doesn't treat you any differently.
Thanks.
No problem.
Hey, Mike, this is Ken Seidler. Just a quick question. I'm familiar with the Google Voice. It's very similar to the situation. Are you familiar with Google Voice?
I sure am. I used Google Voice for years when I was up in Dallas.
Yeah, the transfer situation seems to work the same way. Where they would call in, they'd see your number, but they're actually calling into a different situation. So yeah.
Yeah, very, very similar to Google Voice or Ring Central or something like that, okay? It's basically just a call routing system is really all your smart number is, okay? Now, if you don't buy a vanity smart number, okay, which is only a few situations that I would recommend doing that. If you're not purchasing a vanity smart number, the one thing that I would recommend, best daily practices, don't put your KvCore smart number on your business cards, your car wrap, your Facebook business page, anywhere that is just publicly accessible, that a random person could find that number and just call it. If that person is not in your KvCore database and you're using just the standard KvCore smart number, that person will get routed to the brokerage, and based on lead routing rules, will most likely end up with another agent, okay?
Now that's, Mike, that's not true if you do have your own vanity number, right?
That is very correct. Yeah, if you have your own smart number, then that number is only yours, okay? But it will cost you like 30 bucks a month. It's like $27 a month, if I remember correctly. All right. And again, like I've said, I work with about 4,000 users across the country. 99% of the time, you're not going to have an issue. Just don't put that number on marketing materials that are out there for the general public to find. All right. So the other kind of just really quick tips in here. I do also, especially with leads, I prefer setting my search alerts up through KvCore. If you guys don't know this, KvCore is fully integrated into the MLS. So you are going to be looking and talking to, people are going to be looking at properties that are truly active in your local MLS markets, okay? There's not much that they're going to be able to find on the MLS that will not show up here. KvCore updates roughly every 15 minutes or so. So it's pretty darn accurate, okay? And you have most of the search features that you're going to have in the MLS, at least all the biggies. if you're doing some more obscure things, or you really want to make sure that you're honing in on certain aspects, and it's not one of the defaulted options in here, you can ask the KvCore support chat to add in whatever other search criteria that you want. Okay, it's a little bit of a process. It'll take you a couple of days, but you can do it. So I recommend setting up searches through KvCore, and I also recommend making sure that you're utilizing the notes. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but especially with the homework that my broker gave to me 20 years ago, I meet a lot of people every year. I probably have somewhere in the neighborhood between my coaching calls, my business, and then me meeting people. I probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 conversations a day, if not more. It's really hard for me to remember all the details of those conversations, especially if I'm sitting down to prospect. So one thing I recommend doing is spending time, especially if you're sitting down prospecting, which we're going to talk about next, and taking notes about what your conversation was. Okay. So for instance, met at grocery store, asked me about the investment market, possibly interested in cash flow in 78745. Follow up after the elections. And I can save that note. I can even pin it to the top. Okay, so if I were to have another conversation, okay, looking for a 3-2 duplex, 78745, cap rate 8%. Let's see here. Purchase 375, 425K. I can pin that note up to the top, and every time I come back, I've got the criteria or something important at the very top of my notes. I don't have to go digging for it. Okay. So these are just some of the things inside the client account that I really recommend utilizing on a daily basis. There's more details down here, so we can add in additional information, additional contact info, home preferences. We can add in spousal information, close dates, etc. Okay, birthdays, anniversaries. We got a lot of different details that we can put in here. Okay. All right. So these are just a couple of things that are in here. There are a few other features that are built into KvCore that I have some of my people that are testing out right now, like voicemail drops, where they can use systems like Slide Dial and build this into their campaign so that it automatically leaves their leads a voicemail from you. We've got Core Video. Core Video is probably one of the #1 things that I would purchase through KvCore, because video texting, video messaging is quickly becoming a very viable lead conversion strategy. I will tell you right now, if you send me a video text, I am almost inevitably going to watch it. And I'll probably watch it pretty darn quick. If you send me a text and I don't recognize your number, I may wait until the end of the day to glance at it and actually read it and respond to you. Video message, because it is more unique, I'm probably going to stop what I'm doing and look at it. Okay, and the way the BombBomb video integration is supposed to work is that it doesn't just send you a link, it actually sends you an integrated thumbnail. Okay, so it's got a little, it's got your picture on it. It shows your face, makes you a human being to your leads. And with your past clients, that's even more important. They already know your face. So when they see it pop up, even if they don't recognize your number because it's coming out of your smart number, they're going to recognize your face and they're going to listen to your message. And hopefully they're going to call you back and re-engage with you. So let me ask a question. Who is sending video text messages right now? And I'm going to give this one a second because this is that important.
Hey, Mike, it's Stacy.
Stacy?
Just a quick question, and maybe I'm not alone in this, but there's so much that needs to and has to be done in KvCore and dealing with sellers and dealing with buyers, where do you find the time to do all of this?
So honestly, once you have KvCore set up, the system will pretty much run itself. Okay. And by setup, what I mean is if you're brand new to KvCore, I'm going to recommend you do one of two things. One, you either give my company a call and we set you up. So Stacy, you're one of my past clients. We have a campaign system that's built in and installed for you so that a lot of your things are going to be automated on the internet lead side. Okay. Sellers are where things are going to be a lot more manual, and it's going to take a lot more of your work. When you're looking at creating farms, they call it farming for a reason. You're planting seeds and you're watching them grow. You got to tend your crops, etc. Past clients are another place where it's going to take up more of your activity and more of your time. For me, best daily practices, once I have my website set to the place that I like it, okay, which guys, you have a templated website it's a pretty powerful tool, okay? May not be perfect, it may not be the most beautiful thing, but it works and it's going to help you generate some leads. There are some alterations that can be made to make it a little bit more balanced, less buyer-based, more seller-based. And then the beautiful part about KvCore is the automations that are built in. There's a lot that can be automated with follow-up. So for me and most of my clients with internet leads, we automate the vast majority of the follow-up. I created a campaign system that will basically become your inside salesperson. It's pretty intense. It's got a lot of automated touches that are built in, and there's only a few things that you need to do so that you can concentrate on building your listing business and prospecting. Okay. So the first thing that I do, and I'm going to hop out of here for 1 second. The first thing that I do every single day, and I use my KvCore slightly differently than you guys do. I use mine to follow up with my coaching prospects and my KvCore prospects, but I still do the same thing. I come in here and I check and see what KvCore is going to tell me what to do every day. And this is based on my campaign systems. So the follow-up sequences that I run, I have tasks that are built in and I have phone calls that are built in. So this is the first place that I come and I look and see who are my priority items for the day. Who are my priority calls? And the next thing that I do is I look to see who's been most active on my website, who's clicking on houses, who's doing something that I should be following up with. Okay. Once I'm done with these 3 boxes, that's when I decide who am I going to reach out to next. So I have a personal goal that I'm going to make 20 phone calls a day. I'm going to call 20 people that are in my database every single day and try to make contact. So once I run out of stuff to do here, which guys, by the way, if you're leveraging the automation and you stick to a schedule, this stuff is most likely the admin part of KvCore shouldn't take you more than 15 to 30 minutes a day. Okay? It's the prospecting part that is going to take you longer because now we're going to go and we're going to find other people to reach out to. That's where this button, the Smart CRM, comes in. Okay? And this is also where hashtags come into play. So there's a lot of things that we can do. I'm going to come over here and let's say I wanted to find everyone that's got the hashtag 0 to 90. These are all the folks that told me that they want to buy in the next 3 months. I'm going to let this run real quick. Bam. So depending upon how many people I have, these are going to be the first people that I'm going to call today. And if I open up Mike's account, I can do a couple things. I can either click call right here because I'm going to make a phone call to him. If I'm in a little bit more of a hurry, I may just send a text. Or I'm going to send him a video. And guys, when I talk about sending a video text, this doesn't have to be Spielberg quality, and we're not talking a minute or 2 minutes of your time. If that video is more than 30 seconds, you've already lost their attention. So if they came in off of my website or I met them at the grocery store, it could be something as simple as, hey, Bob, it's Mike Pritchard over at Senator Real Estate Solutions. I don't know if you remember me. We met over at the HEB on Slaughter and Manchac the other day, and you had asked me some questions about real estate investment. Found a couple properties I think that you're interested in. When's a good time for us to chat? Shoot me back a message and I'll call you. I'm done. So I have a personal time blocking schedule that I work off of that works well for me. So everything for me, best daily practices, it's all about time management. And it's the first thing that usually falls apart for us in our real estate business is managing our day-to-day activities. I know I'm kind of getting off on a little bit of a tangent here, so bear with me a second, then we'll hop back into more lead gen and technology stuff. But, you know, if you look at my typical schedule, this month is a little bit lighter just because of some family stuff, but normally I am booked back to back all day long. So I have to make sure that I manage my time very effectively. So I have a set period of time in my day that is reserved only for generating new business. And for me, that happens to be from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. That's when I do my prospecting. I do it during that time because generally speaking, I'm catching clients in drive time heading into their offices. One of the best times to reach out to your leads. After that is when I start to schedule my appointments. Okay, so my real estate time management, 8 to 9:30 was prospecting for new business. I never booked appointments during that period of time. As a matter of fact, I didn't even look at my email until after 9:30 because I didn't want to put myself into a reactionary point where I'm following up on a question that my client answered versus me generating new business. That is when I would be hopping into KvCore. I'd be searching for people to reach out to, and I'd be making my 20 phone calls. After that, I do my my active client follow-up. So people that are actively out looking and clients that had questions about their purchase agreements. And I would usually do that from like 9:30 to 11, depending upon how much work I had to do there. Also admin on my files. I call my transaction coordinator, check and see where everything's at, or if there was a problem that I needed to help resolve. 11 to 12, I'm setting up my showings for the afternoon or my listing appointments for the afternoon and doing some research. And then 12 o'clock, I was typically out the door for appointments. Stacy, did that answer your question?
It does. I'm just kind of sitting here smiling because, you know, a lot of times there's a lead that's coming in and I'm out. I'm out on the road, whether it be with a buyer or a seller or something like that. And if I can take the call, I'll take it. But then I've got to come in and I've got to set, they're already coming into the CRM. That's automatic. Mm-hmm. But what's not automatic is their alerts. And I've got to be, or at least I find I've got to be very specific with their alerts because in Florida, you don't want to be sending family neighborhoods to somebody who's looking for 55 plus or vice versa. We have a lot of membership communities here, which are great deals if you have 150,000 cash that you want to spend on a membership. So people get pissed when they get that. So it's a lot of setup just on the alert side of it, or at least for me, I find it is.
Okay, so it sounds like you're, and we've talked about this before, you're working a very niche market because you specialize in adult 55 and up, correct?
I do, but I also do a lot of family. So okay. Again, I don't want my family people getting 55 plus.
Okay, so when it comes down to leads, I'll be perfectly honest with you. In the very beginning stages, it's about getting them to respond one way, shape, or the other. If somebody, in my personal opinion, if somebody gets pissed off because I sent them a home that doesn't match their normal search criteria, this is my lead in to be able to say, hey, you know what? I totally understand. Why don't we set up a call so I can get some specific information for the properties that you do want to look at? If it's somebody that you've actively talked to, then yeah, you need to go in and you need to create the search. Now, there are ways that you can set KvCore up to automatically create searches. Now, in about, I don't know, 75% of your leads, KvCore already has enough information based on what they clicked on to create a basic search. Something that will at least buy you some time to go in and make the modifications that you want. Okay.
But I I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. I know that this is getting too, too down a rabbit hole a little bit, but I specifically asked KvCore, can I have it set to a default, no membership? And apparently I can't do that. So that's
Great.
something that I've got to set up.
No, well, I believe you can. We're going to take a look right now. So on the marketing autopilot tab, search alerts, I come down here and I click on learn more. I can create searches based on a hashtag or based on a category. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of this and I'm going to click on create alert. Okay. Now each one of your systems, if you have added in additional default search options. So Stacy, on yours, I know that we added in like HOPA and I think we added in that membership deal on your search creation.
So we have it on KvCore as a keyword. So in the keywords, I put in membership and it comes up membership fee required, yes or no.
Right. So it would be, you would go into this this search alert section on the marketing autopilot. You can't default it for everybody, but you can default it for a hashtag. So if you are, can you kind of tell me where those leads are coming from? Are they coming in off of like a squeeze page or a property boost?
Let's call it Zillow because that's where so many of my leads come in from.
Okay. So you could come in and say, all right, I want to do this for all of my hashtag Zillow leads. Okay.
Right.
And then the area that you're marketing in. So what's your zip, what zip code are you marketing in?
Let's call it 33437 for now.
And then this is where you would put in your keyword stuff. Okay.
Right.
And then you set your options. And you can click on add alert. And at this point, your particular KvCore account, whenever it sees a Zillow lead coming in from that zip code, it's going to say, okay, great. I'm going to apply this search automatically for all of those leads.
So I can put in several different zip codes. I can put in every single zip code that I'm affiliated with Zillow with, correct?
Absolutely.
Or
Yeah,
do
so
I have to do it separately?
No. Just come in here and click on add area.
Okay,
you-
got it.
That's your next zip.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
Very
while
cool.
they told you correctly in that you can't set this up as a blanket search, you have to set it up based on unfortunately, only based on hashtags. Okay.
That's fine.
So you would have to be very general with this, or like property boosting. If you're always boosting in one area, you can do it for all your property boosts. If you're doing Facebook squeeze pages, you can do it with your whatever squeeze page hashtag that you set up. Okay. Like I'm working with Heidi Brumgard up in, I think she's up in Jacksonville, if I remember correctly. And we have her stuff set up, or no, she's in Fort Lauderdale, I'm sorry. We have her stuff set up that every Fort Lauderdale lead that comes in automatically gets put on a search between 400 and 1 million. Okay. So you can definitely do that. And to show you guys where you get back to that, you're going to come to marketing autopilot and you'll come down to search alerts. Click on learn more. And then you just create your alert. Okay.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Now, with your other sources, so and Zillow and Realtor.com are a little funny about this, but anything that you generate directly through KvCore, like open houses, property boosts, etc., squeeze pages, or you just share a listing on on Facebook, because the search was generated through KvCore, it's automatically going to create a search based on the property that they clicked on. It will be basic. It will not be as detailed with keywords, etc., but it will show properties in that similar price range and that similar area. All right, so since I just mentioned Open House, I do want to talk a little bit about how to generate leads through Open House. And I'm going to show you a couple of things there, okay? One, if you have not downloaded the KvCore Open House app and you're doing open houses, I highly recommend that you do so. And within that, when you create an open house through that app, pretty darn easy. It's going to ask you for basically 3 pieces of information. One, it's going to ask you for the MLS number of the home that you're holding open. 2, it's going to ask you if you want to add a hashtag. And if you're using the automation, if you have an open house campaign of some sort, that's where you would put whatever hashtag you're using. And then the third question it'll ask is, do you want to ask those leads a specific question or a series of questions? And it's usually 3 of them. There's going to be, are you currently working with an agent? Would you like me to send you more houses? And how long have you been looking? You can turn them all on, you can turn them off, you can add in just a few of those. But whenever someone registers through your open house app, at that point in time, it'll automatically push them into KvCore. If you're using automation based on that hashtag, it will automatically apply your smart campaign. I want to show you one more thing here in the last few minutes that we've got, and then open this up to any other questions that you guys might have. If you're doing an open house, especially in today's environment, not everyone is going to be willing to touch your computer, touch your laptop, or grab your pen and sign in on a piece of paper. I recommend hedging your bets and having 2 lead generation capture systems at your sign-in station. Okay, one of them would be the KvCore Open House app. I'd have either my computer or my tablet set up for people to type their info in. But 2, I would leverage the QR code. I know things are just kind of opening back up. Have you guys been out to restaurants recently, and have you seen the way that menus are typically being done now, where you have a little QR code sticker on your table or on something nearby that you can scan?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's really popular here in Texas as well. I am actually finding that a lot of my agents that are doing open houses, you know, I was coaching a good group of folks, and we started leveraging the QR code, and we're seeing more people actually scanning the QR code than registering through the open house app right now. So let me show you what I mean by this, okay? So I'm just gonna grab this property. Let's say you're holding an open house for somebody else. Let's say I'm holding an open house for Rachel. So it's not my house. I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna click on this. And I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna come down and generate QR code. I'm gonna save this to my desktop. All right. And then one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hop into Canva and I'm gonna create a flyer. I am not the guy that likes printing up 100 flyers and having them out at my open house anymore. Doesn't work. I find them in the gutters. They're all over the yard. And besides that, I don't necessarily want to go and spend a bunch of money on flyers. Okay, especially when people aren't going to take them anyways. So I can do this instead. You guys ever seen those stand-up tents where you can just slide in one sheet of paper and it's got plastic on both sides and it just kind of holds things up for you? You can buy them at your local board. You can buy them at Office Max. They're all over the place. You can also just use just a plain picture frame. You can buy those at the the dollar store. But I can come into Canva and I can create a quick flyer. And I'm going to take this one out from a class that I just did. Oops. And I can drop my QR code somewhere on my flyer and say, more info, scan me. And drop my font here. Too small. All right, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but you get what I'm saying here, right? There. And see if we got a little arrow that's pointing over to it. And when they click on the, or when they scan this QR code, it's going to take them to this link. And now my website, when they want to see more information, it's going to require that they register. And I now have a lead that drops into KvCore for me. So if you're going to be doing open houses in today's marketplace, I really recommend that you not only set up your sign-in station through the KvCore Open House app, but I would have a flyer stand with one flyer. That way they can't take it with them. They have to scan the code. On my flyers, I don't put price information. I want them going to my website. I just want to give them my contact info, a couple quick talking tips, and a few pictures. It's going to force them to scan this code if they want that information to be handy with them. There we go. So these are just a couple of things, and we're just about out of time right now, but one other tip that I'll give you is text codes. So I've got an agent that I'm working with out in Georgia right now that's leveraging the CMA builder, the home evaluation part of KvCore, to generate more leads off of her listings. So in her neighborhoods, when she has a sign in the yard, she's also come down in here to the lead engine tab, gone to call capture, and she's created a custom text code. And you guys all have one, okay? Like Jonathan's is Jonathan, okay? But you guys all have a custom text code, or can create a custom text code. So real quick, Selma, does each agent have their own QR code or use Jonathan? No. You're going to use your own. When you sign into KvCore and you go to the listings tab, I just happen to be logged into Jonathan's account. When you go into your listing section on your KvCore account and you click the generate QR code, it's going to be a code that's set for you, and it's going to be set to that specific listing. Okay. All right, so smart codes or text codes again. So I've got an agent that's out in Georgia that basically has created a way to generate more listing leads off of her website. So she takes her home evaluation link, or what is my home worth? I'm just going to copy this. She came in and she created a custom text code. What is my home worth? Okay, or smaller code, home value. She put in the link to her reply message, okay? And I'm just gonna pick one of these smart numbers here. I'll pick this one. You guys would just have your smart number on this, but since I'm in Jonathan's account, he has the smart numbers for everyone in his office, okay? And if there was a custom campaign that you wanted to have follow up with those leads when they came in, you could add in the hashtag for that campaign, okay? But basically, if someone texts home value to this smart number, they're gonna get taken to what is my home worth, and they can type in their address here. You get a lead that says somebody requested an evaluation on their property. You'll get their cell phone number to call them. They're going to get this report that tells them, gives them a general idea of what their home might be worth. Okay. Now, this is very general. I would absolutely recommend calling them as soon as possible and leaving them a message or sending them a text or a video text. Hey, the report that was sent over to you is very general. If you would like a more detailed response, let's set up some time to talk. But she does this. She has a sign writer that goes on every one of her listing signs. She's getting 2 to 3 listing leads per listing per week, as long as that sign is in the yard, from neighbors and buyers that are pulling up to the house that need to sell their home before they can buy that one. Now, not all of them, definitely not all of them answer. A lot of them that do answer have realtors because they're walking in to go and look and see what the home is. But she's still getting the leads, and she's having conversations, and she's generating more listing opportunities off of a listing she already has in the yard. Her next step is to create signs and post them around the areas that she works. If you want to know what your home is worth, thinking of selling, get a free home evaluation. Text this code to this number. She wants to go and start putting those around the areas that she's working in to see what she can generate that way too. So those are just a couple of some of the more obscure lead generation programs that are within KvCore that a lot of agents don't know about. QR code and text codes, they definitely work depending upon how you want to leverage it. I've got a couple of minutes left to take any final questions if you guys have any. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys and you guys picked up at least 1 or 2 tips.
Extremely helpful.
Hey, Mike, this was great. I appreciate it. Just that alert thing was awesome.
Hey, Mike, I had a question. I need to back up a second. I missed one section. Were you saying that the person was getting leads by a QR code on a writer, or is that their
The text codes.
The text
Yeah,
code.
yeah,
Gotcha.
she's using a text code on the writer simply for the fact that most people aren't going to step out of their car to go and scan it. So
So-
she's doing text on her site.
So how you're setting that up is you do the text code and the link is the "What's my home worth?" Like on the front page of your KvCore website.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's exactly right.
Okay, excellent, great. That's a great idea.
Yeah. I really like it. I know that she's doing well off of her listing signs. I'm really curious to see what comes out of her bandit signs. She's supposed to have them printed up this week. So hopefully our next call, I'll be able to give you guys an update on that one. But I mean, heck, she's getting like 40 bandit signs for $100. And she's like, if I don't get anything out of it, I only spend $100. And she's pretty much resigned herself to the fact that she won't get those back. But at least she's got some listing lead generation out there that's mostly automated. She's got campaign programs that we wrote for her to help with the follow-up process and everything else. Speaking of that, if you guys are interested in having somebody help you with your KvCore setup, if you don't want to go through the learning curve of figuring all that out, I did set up with Jonathan and Tommy, I set up a pretty significant discount for our Business in a Box program. We also do fully custom campaigns, other programs that we can help you out with. But if you're interested in more information, would like to talk here about your specific KvCore situation, you can visit my website. I know that you can also go to your resources library, and I believe that there's some information in my brochure there as well. But if you go to my website, you can click on the Book Now button, and it'll allow you to book a free 30-minute consultation with me. It'll take you to my calendar. And we can talk about your specific situation. If our company is in a place where we can help you, I'll tell you 90% of the agents we've been able to get set up and taken care of, and we've been able to automate the vast majority of what they need to do. So they're just out running business and generating leads, and our follow-up systems kick in for them. But if you're interested, hit me up. We got some great deals for location.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. Always appreciated. Lots of great information in here. I know that they had to have taken at least one or two things that they can do moving forward to generate some more leads. But yeah, under the resources tab, there is a Sign Assured Real Estate tile with Mike's information, as well as a breakdown of the services he offers and the pricing. And he has significantly discounted the prices for location agents. So again, thanks, Mike. If anybody has, looks like we are out of time, but we will be back again with Mike next month for some more useful tips. And until then, we will see everybody later. Everybody have a great day.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Bye.